Welcome to Imam Ali's legacy for exploring the timeless wisdom of Imam Ali through the profound teachings of Nahjul Balagha. Our channel aims to shed light on the invaluable lessons and guidance imparted by Imam Ali, covering a wide range of topics including spirituality, leadership, justice, morality, and philosophy. Through detailed explanations, reflections, and insightful interpretations, we bring Imam Ali's words to life, helping you connect with his divine wisdom in today's world. Whether you're seeking spiritual growth, intellectual enlightenment, or simply a deeper understanding of the teachings of one of history's most influential leaders, this channel is for you. Join us as we embark on a journey of knowledge and inspiration straight from the sacred text of Nahjul Balagha. Subscribe to stay updated with weekly content, including sermons, letters, and sayings of Imam Ali, along with their meanings and practical applications in our lives. That when the Holy Prophet married Khadija, she adopted this child as a son. Hazrat Ali himself has described his childhood in Karpa al-Qosiya, saying, "I was still a newborn baby when the Prophet took me from my parents. I used to cling to him. He would make me sleep in his bed, pressing my body against his and making me smell his fragrance and feel its warmth. He used to feed me, and when I grew a little older, he never found me uttering a lie or feigning a deceit. To me, he was like a guiding star, and I used to carefully follow his actions and deeds. I was attached to him like a young camel attached to its mother. He used to place before me high values of morality and used to advise me to follow them. Every year he would spend some days at the grotto of the Hira mountain. And I used to be with him. I was his only companion then, and none else could meet him at Hira. There I used to see the light of revelation and used to smell the fragrance of prophethood. Once the Holy Prophet said to me, 'Ali, you have attained a very eminent place. You see what I see and you hear what I hear.' Both Hafiz Abul Naim in his book Hilyat al-Awliya and Imam al-Sayoti in his Tafsir al-Dara Mantha say that once Holy Prophet said to Hazrat Ali, 'Ali, Allah has ordered me to keep you near me. You are to me like an ear that retain everything, because you are the retaining ears that the Holy Book Quran has praised.' The Holy Prophet loved each other, and Hazrat Ali Yulji, how the Enchi ibn Abil Hadid, the Mutazilit scholar and commentator of Nahjul Balagha, cites Abdul ibn Abbas saying, 'Once I asked my father, my cousin Muhammad has many sons. They all died while still infants. Which of them did he love the most?' He replied, 'Ali ibn Abi Talib.' I said, 'Father, I was inquiring about his sons.' He replied, 'The Holy Prophet, when Ali loved Ali more than all of his sons, was a child. I never saw him separated from Muhammad, ne for half an hour, unless Muhammad and Ali nen went out of the house for some work. I never saw a father love his son so much as the Holy Prophet, and I never saw a son so obedient and so attached and so loving to his father as Ali was to Muhammad.'" The same author cites the companion of the Holy Prophet, Jubayr bin Mut'im ibn Adi ibn Nawfil, saying that once his father addressed him and some young men of his family, "Have you noticed how the child Ali has been loving, venerating and obeying that young man Muhammad instead of his own father? What an intensity of love and veneration. I swear by our gods, the Lat and the Uzza, that instead of having so many offspring of Nawfil around me, I wish I had a son like Ali." Quotes the Holy Prophet saying, "I wish to achieve every such thing for you that I desire to acquire myself, and I want to keep you away from all those things whose contact I abhor." I've Allama al-Tabrani in his book titled Al-Awzat and Imam Hakim in his Sahih say that whenever the Holy Prophet was in anger, nobody dared address him but Ali. Of Ibn Abil Hadid in his commentary on Nahjul Balagha once again quotes the uncle of the Holy Prophet, Abbas, saying that the Holy Prophet treasured intensely. The Prophet and Ali loved each other, was so fond of Ali that once when Ali was a young boy, he sent him out on some errand and the child took a long time to return. So he started getting worried and anxious. In the end, he prayed to Allah saying, "Please, Lord, do not let me die unless I see Ali again." This incident is also quoted by Al-Tirmidhi. Ali started acting as the bodyguard of the Holy Prophet, even when he was just a boy of 13 or 14 years. The young men of Quraysh, under instigation of their parents, used to stone the Holy Prophet. Ali took up the work of acting as his defender. He fell upon those young men, broke the nose of one, teeth of the other, pulled the ears of the third, and threw down the fourth. He often fought against those who were older than himself, was often himself hurt, but he never forsook the self-imposed duty. After some days, he got the nickname of Kazim, one who breaks or throws away, and nobody dared to throw anything at the Holy Prophet when Ali was with him. He would not let the Holy Prophet go out of the house alone, offering himself as a sacrifice at the night of Hijra migration. And his subsequent behavior in all the battles are enough proofs of the intensity of Ali's love for the Holy Prophet. Jaji Zadan George Gordon, who died recently, was a famous Christian historian, linguist, philosopher, and poet of modern Egypt. Arabic was his mother tongue, but he was so well versed in English, French, Germany, Persian, and Latin that he used to contribute to historical and philosophical magazines of France, Germany, and England. About Hazrat Ali, he says the following: "None can praise Ali Kar to the extent that he deserves. So many instances of his piety and fear of Allah are cited that one starts loving and venerating him. He was a true, strict, and scrupulous follower of Islam. His words and deeds bore stamps of nobility, sagacity, and courage of conviction. He was a great man having his own independent views about life and its problems. He never deceived, misled, or betrayed anybody. In various phases and periods of his life, he exhibited marvelous strength of body and mind, which were due to his true faith in religion and in his sincere belief in truth and justice. He never had servants and never allowed his slaves to work hard. Often he would carry his household goods himself, and if anybody offered to relieve him of the weight, he would refuse. Shah. The famous Egyptian philosopher and professor of Islamic study, Allama Muhammad Mustafa Beg Najib, in his equally famous book Himatul Islam, Protectors of Islam, says the following: what can be said about this Imam? It is very difficult to fully explain his attributes and qualities. It is enough to realize that the Holy Prophet had named him the gateway of knowledge and wisdom. He was the most learned person, the most brave man, and the most eloquent speaker and orator. His piety, his love of Allah, his sincerity and fortitude in following religion were of such high order that none could aspire to reach him. He was the greatest politician because he hated diplomacy in the way of injustice and loved truth and justice. His was the policy as taught by Allah. On account of his sagacity and thorough knowledge of the human mind, he always arrived at correct conclusions and never changed his views. His was of the best judgment. Had he had no fear of Allah, he would have become the greatest politician among all the Arabs. He is loved by all. Everyone has a place for him in his heart. He was a man of such surpassing and pre-eminent attributes and such transcending and peerless qualities that many learned men accepted perplexed about him and imagined to be an incarnation of Allah. Several men among the Jews and Christians love him, and such philosophers who came to know of his teachings bow down before his incomparable vast knowledge. Roman kings would have his pictures in their palaces, and great warriors would engrave his name on their swords and thread. Another philosopher and historian of Egypt, namely Prof. Muhammad Kamil Hatha, pays his tributes in the following words: his life is an agglomeration of pleasing incidents, bloody encounters, and sad episodes. His personality is very prominent on account of his transcending and high qualities. Each aspect of his life is so lofty and glorious that a study of one phase would make you feel that it was the best phase of his character and the most beautiful picture of his personality, while contemplation of any other phase will enchant you more, and you will come to the conclusion that no human being can attain that height of aspect will fascinate you equally, and you will realize that before you is a personality of such great eminence that cannot fully appreciate its greatness, and you will feel that Ali Amma was an Imam leader in battlefield, was an Imam leader in politics, was an Imam in religion, and also an Imam in ethics, in philosophy, in literature, in learning and wisdom. It is not difficult for Allah to create such a personal review on the character of Ali by Ustad Professor Muhammad Kamil Hatha P40 AIV. The historian John J. Poole, author of The Life of H.M. Queen Victoria, in his book Studies in Mohammedanism, makes the following points. This prince was a man of mild and forbearing character, wise in counsel and bold in war. Prophet Muhammad had given him the surname of the Lion of Allah. Ali Ayak and his sons Hassan and Hussein were truly noble men, men of righteousness, men of a brave, a humble, and a forgiving spirit. Their lives deserved to be commemorated, for there was a peculiar pathos about them, their lives which were not spent selfishly or in vain. As Matthew Arnold Essays in Criticism says, the sufferers of Kabbalah had aloft to the eyes of millions the lessons so loved by the sufferer of cavalry, representation of crucifixion, like learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. He further says that Ali Tuak was the first caliph to protect and encourage in national literature. This prince was a scholar himself, and many of his wise sayings and proverbs are published in a book. It is a remarkable work and deserves to be more widely read in the West. V. Ibn Abul Hadid, the Mutazilite commentator of Nahjul Balagha, says the following: Hazrat Ali had a personality in which opposite characteristics had so gathered that it was difficult to believe a human mind could manifest such a combination. He was the bravest man that history could cite, and such brave persons are always hard-hearted, cruel, and eager for bloodshed. On the contrary, Ali was kind, sympathetic, responsive, and a warm-hearted person, qualities quite contradictory to the other phase of his character and more suited to pious and Allah-fearing persons. He was an extremely pious and God-fearing person, and often pious and religious persons avoid society and do not care to mix with men of sins and men of wrath. Similarly, warriors, kings, and dictators are usually arrogant and haughty. They consider it below themselves to mix with poor, lowly, and humble persons. But Ali Tuak was different. He was a friend to all. As a matter of historical fact, it is known that he had a tender spot in his heart for the poor and humble, and for the orphans and the cripples. To them he was always a kind friend, a sympathetic guide, and a fellow sufferer. He was meek unto them, but haughty and arrogant against famous warriors and generals, so many of whom he had killed in hand-to-hand combat. He was always kind but strict with wayward persons, sympathetically teaching them the ways of Allah. He always smiled and passed happy and witty rejoinders. It was difficult to overcome him in any debate or repartee. His rejoinders and retorts always bore high marks of culture, education, and knowledge. He was a scion of a very illustrious, rich, and noble clan, as well as son-in-law and great favorite of the Holy Prophet Dak. At the same time, he was the greatest warrior and marshal of his time. Yet in spite of his riches, he ate, dressed, and lived like a poor person. To him, wealth was for the use of other needy persons, not for himself and his family. Change of times and change of circumstances did not bring any change in his bearing, mind, or character. Even when he ascended the throne of Arabia and was acclaimed as the Caliph, He was the same Alika as they had found him to be during the previous regimes. Once in the society of Abdullah, son of Imam Malik ibn Hanbal, a discussion took place about Ali and his caliphate. Abdullah brought the discussion to an end, saying that the caliphate did not bring any honor or glory to Ali, but it was itself honored and glorified by Ali, and it received the status actually due to it. Ibn Abil Hadid also says that in this world, an example cannot be found of any person other than Ali, who was a first-class warrior and a marshal, a philosopher, a moralist, and a great teacher of religious principles and theology. A study of his life shows that his sword was the only help that Islam received during its early days of struggle and its wars of self-defense. For Islam, he was the first line of defense, the second line of defense, and the last line of defense. Who was with him in the battles of Badr, Uhud, Khandak, Khaybar, and Hunain? This is one aspect of his life. Yet the other phase of his character is portrayed by his sermons, orders, letters, and sayings. What high values of morality they teach, what ethics they preach, what intricate problems of Unitarianism they elucidate, how rich they are in philosophy, how they try to train us to be kind, good, benevolent, and Allah-fearing rulers and faithful, sincere, and law-abiding subjects. How they persuade us to be warriors who can fight only for Allah, truth and justice, and not mercenaries murdering and plundering for wealth and riches, and how they instruct us to be teachers who can teach nothing injurious and harmful to mankind. Was there any such combination before, and will there ever be? To Olsner, the famous French Orientalist and author of Les Effets de la Religion de Mohammed, Ali was the beau ideal of chivalry and the personification of gallantry, bravery, and generosity. He says the following: pure, gentle, and learned without fear and without reproach, he set for the world the noblest example of chivalrous grandeur of character. His spirit was a pure reflection of that of Muhammad. It overshadowed the Islamic world and formed the animating genius of succeeding ages. Viewed in Islam under the Arabs, says that Ali had been advised by several of his counselors to defer the dismissal of the corrupt governors previously appointed until he himself was sure against all enemies. The standard of Islam, the hero without fear and without reproach, refused to be guilty of any duplicity or compromise with injustice. This uncompromisingly noble attitude cost him his state and his life, but such was Ali. He never valued anything above justice and truth. Gibbon, of the History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, says, the zeal and virtues of Ali were never outstripped by any recent proselyte. He united the qualification of a poet, a soldier, and a saint. His wisdom still breathes in a collection of moral and religious sayings, and every antagonist in the combats of tongue or of sword was subdued by his eloquence and valor. From the first hour of mission to the last rites of his funeral, the messenger was never forsaken by this generous friend, whom he delighted to name his brother, his vicegerent, and the faithful Aaron of a second Moses. Ikes al-Masudi, the famous historian of Islam, says, if the glorious name of being the first Muslim, a comrade of the Prophet in exile, his faithful companion in the struggle for the faith, his intimate associate in life and his kinsman, if a true knowledge of the spirit of his teachings and of the book, if self-abnegation and practice of justice, if honesty, purity, and love of truth, and if knowledge of law and science constitute a claim to preeminence, then all must regard Ali as the foremost Muslim. We shall search in vain to find, either among his predecessors save the Holy Prophet Ziyah, or among his successor, those virtues with which Allah had endowed him. Faith, as has been declared by all the historians of Islam, since his childhood, Ali was adopted and looked after by the Holy Prophet. It was only natural that his religious tendencies from his childhood were those of the Holy Prophet. The question as to when he embraced Islam is out of consideration. He was Muslim from the very beginning. His religion was the religion of the Holy Prophet. At his 5th, 7th, 10th, 12th, and 14th year of age, he was following the religion which the Holy Prophet had at his 35th, 37th, 40th, 42nd, 44th year of his life respectively. The difference between the respective ages of the Holy Prophet and Ali was about 30 years. If the Holy Prophet at any period of his life was a non-Muslim, then Ali at that period was also a non-Muslim. This is the logic of facts. Imam Nur ad-Din Ali ibn Ibrahim, the Shafi'ite, in his book Al-Sirah al-Halabiyah says, Ali was like a son to the Holy Prophet. Therefore, his religion from the very beginning was the religion of the Holy Prophet. And the famous historian Masudi says, the general census of opinion among the Muslim historians and theologians that was never a non-Muslim and never prayed before idols. Therefore, the question of his embracing Islam does not and cannot be raised. Children and domestic life. Hazrat Ali Tayla was married to Hazrat Fatima, daughter of the Holy Prophet, the only from Hazrat Khadija. He had been betrothed to her several days before the expedition of Badr. But the marriage was celebrated 3 months later, Hazrat Ali being 21 years old and Hazrat Fatima being 15. As stated in the spirit of Islam, was very happy in his blessed marriage. The transcendental distinctiveness of their respective characters blended with each other so well, so much so that they never quarreled nor complained about each other, leading a happy and contented life. Each one of them was rich in his own rights. Fatima was the only heir of one of the richest women of Arabia, Khadija, and had inherited many orchards and gardens in Mecca and Medina. Besides that, she was the daughter of the head of a rich clan and a king of a fast-growing kingdom. Ali was a marshal who had very handsome shares from the spoils of wars. Yet all that they owned went to the poor, crippled, and orphans, and they themselves often starved. Their only luxury in life was prayer and the company of each other and of children. They willingly shared the sorrows and suffering of the poor. They were given a slave girl, Fidza, but the Holy Prophet had made arrangements that every alternate day was the off day of Fidza and her mistress would do all the household work. Even when Hazrat Fatima was ill on Fidza's off day, Fidza would not be allowed to attend to the duties, but Hazrat Ali would work, and the hero of Bada, Ahod, Kandak, Khabar and Hanan was seen grinding oats, lighting the oven, preparing the bread and looking after the children. Salman says, what a household, the only daughter of the Holy Prophet and wife of his vicegerent leading the life of a poor laborer. If they had spent 1/10 of what they were distributing daily, they would have led a life of ease and comfort. From Hazrat Ali, the Lady of Light, Fatima Zek had 4 children and the 5th, Mohsin, was a stillbirth. The causes of this mishap and also that of her death are very sad and pathetic incidents of their lives. The names of these 4 children were Hassan Hussein, Zanab, wife of Abdullah ibn Jafar, and Al-Kulsum, wife of Ubaidullah ibn Jafar. During the lifetime of Hazrat Fatima, Hazrat Ali did not marry another woman. After her death, he married Yamama. After the latter's death, married another lady having the name of a Hanafiya, by whom he had a son, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya. After her death, he married again. Thus he had many children, some of whom had unparalleled places in the history of mankind, e.g. Hassan Hussein, the hero of Karbala, Zainab, the defender of true Islam in Kufa and Damascus, Abbas, the commander of Hussein's army in Kabbalah, and Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, the hero of Narwan. Ali among his friends and foes, the rich and the poor. Cited below are some incidents which typically portray the characteristics of Ali ibn Abu Talib. He was, as Poole says, truly a noble man, a man of righteousness and a man of brave, humble and forgiving spirit, and as Olsner says, pure, gentle and learned, without fear and without reproach, setting the noblest example of character to the world. Out of hundreds and hundreds of cases to select, I find it rather difficult which to choose and which not to choose. I have selected a few according to the standard of my knowledge and visualization. Ali's treatment of his foes, one Talha ibn Abu Talha, was not only a bitter enemy of Islam, but was a personal enemy of the Holy Prophet and Ali. His exertions to harm these two and their mission is historically verifiable. In the Battle of Hard, he was the flag bearer of the army of Quraysh. Ali faced him and in a hand-to-hand encounter dealt him such a severe blow that he reeled and fell down. Ali left him like that and walked away from him. Many Muswalis ran up to Ali the guard and advised him to finish Talha, saying that he was Ali's worst enemy. Ali replied, "Enemy or no enemy, he cannot defend himself now, and I cannot strike a man who is not in a status to defend himself. If he survives, he is welcome to live as long as his lifespan lasts, up to during the Battle of Jamal." In the thick of the encounter, his slave Kambar brought him some sweet syrup, saying, "My master, the sun is very hot and you have been constantly fighting, so have a glass of this cold drink to refresh yourself." Ali looked around himself and replied, "Shall I refresh myself when hundreds of people around me are lying wounded and dying of thirst and of wounds? Instead of bringing a sweet drink for me, take a few men with you and give each of these wounded men a cool drink." Kambar replied, "Master, but they are all our enemies," Ali said. "They may be, but they are human beings." So 10-3 in the Battle of Siffin, Muawiyah reached the river Euphrates before the army of the Imam and took status of the river. When Hazrat's army reached there, he was informed that they would not be allowed a drop of water from the river. The Imam sent a messenger to Muawiyah saying that this action was against the canons of humanity and orders of Islam. Muawiyah replied saying, "A war is a war, and the rule is that one cannot accept the principles of humanity and doctrines of Islam. My sole aim is to kill Ali and to demoralize his army, and this blockage of water supply will bring about these results easily and quickly." The Imam ordered Imam Hussein to attack and get back the river. The attack took place and the riverside status was captured. It was then Muawiyah's turn to beseech permission to get water from the river. His messengers arrived. Ali told them to take as much water as they liked and as often as they needed. When his officers told him that those were the very people who had refused water to them, adding, "Should they be allowed a free run of the river?" he replied, "They are human beings, and even though they have acted inhumanely, I cannot follow their example and cannot refuse a man food and drink because he happens to be my worst enemy." It was the Battle of Narawan, and he himself was fighting like any other ordinary soldier. During this battle, a man came to face him and in the encounter lost his sword. He realized his hopeless plight of standing before Ali without any weapon in hand. Ali's hand was raised for a blow when he saw the antagonist trembling with fear. He therefore lowered his hand slowly and said, "Run away, friend. You are not in a status to defend yourself." This conciliatory attitude made the man bold, so he said, "Ali, why don't you kill me? It would have reduced the number of your enemies by 1. Ali replied, "I do not strike a man who cannot defend himself. You are begging for your life and it was spared." The opponent got even bolder and said, "I am told that you have never refused a beggar. Now I beg you for your sword. Will you grant it to me?" Ali handed him the sword. Taking possession of the sword, the ungrateful foe said, "Now Ali, who is going to defend you against me and save you from my killing blow?" Ali replied, "Allah, of course. He will defend me if he so wills. He has appointed my death to be my guarding angel. None can harm me before it is opportune time is due, and None can save me when it does arrive. Nobility of thought and action impressed Ali's foe, so he kissed the bridle of Ali's horse as he said, "Oh, master, you are a great man, indeed. You cannot only forsake the life of your enemy in a battlefield, but also you can grant him your sword. May I have the honor to act as your bodyguard and to fight for you?" Ali replied, "Friend, fight for truth and justice and do not fight for individuals." Ifa, during 39 and 40 AH, Muawiyah organized brigands to enter border towns and to carry on loot, plunder, arson and rape. Kumail was at that time the governor of Heat. He asked Hazrat Ali's permission to organize similar bands and carry out plundering in the province of Sasir, which was under the control of Muawiyah. Hazrat Ali replied to him saying, "I never expected such a suggestion from a man like you. It is more noble and more moral to guard your own people and province and to plunder others. They might be our enemies, but they are also human beings. They consist of a civilian population comprised of women and children. How can one kill, loot and plunder them? No, never. Do not even dream of such a venture." 6. It was the month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, and the time was the morning prayers. The mosque was full of Muslims. Ali was kneeling before Allah, and when he raised his head, a terrible blow fell upon it, giving a very deep cut. There was a great disturbance and commotion in the mosque. The murderer started running. The Muslims followed, caught and bound him in ropes and brought him before Ali, who was on the prayer carpet drenched in blood and was reclining upon his sons. He knew the blow was fatal and he could not survive it, but when the murderer was brought before him, he saw that the rope which had bound him was so tightly bound that it was cutting into his flesh. He turned towards those Muslims and said, "You should not be so cruel with your fellow being. Slacken his ropes. Do not see that they are cutting into his flesh and he is in agony." Such was Ali. Islamic history repeatedly notes well the incidents of his chivalrous and merciful treatment towards his enemies.